Awesome. All right. Well, welcome everybody. And thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Kim and I'm the operations manager here at the MRFA. We will have a question and answer period at the end. So please keep any questions until then. And you can feel free to type any questions in the chat and I will make sure to make a note of them and get them answered at the end. I will be posting this webinar on our website as well as I add it to our newsletter at the every month. So today I'd like to introduce you to Susanna, and she is with Career Canada Immigration. And so yeah, thanks Susanna, and I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Kim. Hi everybody, good afternoon. Just gonna quickly share my screen before we get started. Let me know if that's visible to everybody. Okay, perfect. Hi, so my name is Susanna. I'm with Career Canada Immigration. We're a recruitment and immigration firm located in Oakville, Ontario, and we've been in operation for around 7 years. I manage business development, marketing, and some level of client liaison for Career Canada Immigration. What we're going to cover today is very quickly who we are, what our services are, and how we can help you. I then will move on to giving you an overview of what the temporary foreign worker program is, and that leads us very automatically into what the labor market impact assessment is. So I'll talk about these two things and probably close this session with what benefits we see from hiring foreign talent and take any questions any of you may have. Diving in. So Career Canada, like I mentioned, has been in operation for about 7 years. We have our offices in India and Dubai, and of course our head office here in Oakville. We are members of the College of Immigration and Citizenship. We are licensed recruiters across about 6 provinces in Canada. And of course, licensed immigration consultants as well. So the team that we have in place are also licensed consultants, so they work as case managers. And of course, we've over the last 7 years, we've done over 1,500 successful applications for employers and candidates alike. What are the services we offer? So we do offer, in terms of a bouquet of services, it's the temporary foreign worker program, but we also do individual immigration programs. So as an employer, if you need a labor market impact assessment to be done for your business, we can assist you with that. For candidates who are looking for work permits, we assist them with the same. Dependents, so closed work permits are of 2 types. There's closed, which is LMIA based, and then there are open work permits, which is usually for dependents and students. We also do PR applications, provincial nomination program applications, and then study permits as well. On the consulting front, we assist employers with kind of looking at whether what their eligibility is for labor market impact assessment, what their eligibility is to register themselves for nomination programs, provincial nomination programs, from a candidate perspective, what their PR pathway is. And then we also assist with post-landing services for a lot of foreign workers, just for them to assimilate and kind of settle in better. In terms of the temporary foreign worker program, I'm going to delve right into that in detail, but this kind of gives you a large overview of what the program is. So the temporary foreign worker program essentially begins with an employer finding that there is a shortage of labor, and they feel the need to hire talent from outside of the country. Now, to do that, the first step is to qualify the business for a LMIA. To do that, an employer must have a job bank registration and post ads for the roles that they want to hire, and have basic documentation in place This is your business registration details, the number of employees that you have in the business that you employ, and lastly, any financial documents which state that your business is in good financial standing. These are the documents required for you to submit an LMIA application. The government Service Canada takes anywhere between 30 to 40 days to approve an LMIA. During this period, we usually conduct our recruitment activities, which is sourcing the right candidates who qualify for the program, conducting interviews for employers with those candidates, shortlisting, and then rolling out offer letters for those you select. Once we have candidates who are selected, and once the LMIA has been approved by Service Canada, we are then able to apply for a work permit for each candidate. This period takes anywhere between 3 to 6 months, specifically for foreign workers. We sometimes do this process for candidates who are already in the country. So they may be on open work permits or student permits and are looking for extensions. So for those candidates, it's a much simpler process. You can go up to the Canadian border and get your work permit in a day. However, if the candidate is outside the country, then the process can take anywhere between 3 to 6 months. And then we allow for 1 to 2 weeks once the candidate lands in the country for their settlement. So that's largely giving you a picture of from beginning to end, what the timelines are and what the various steps are from a macro perspective. Delving into the LMIA further. So like I mentioned earlier, the LMIA is essentially a document which the Canadian government issues to employers, which will basically state that you are now eligible to hire foreign workers. The purpose is largely to say that you have tried and your business is suffering because you're finding there is a shortage of hiring talent within your community, or you are seeing a very large turnover, or whatever your reasons are. This kind of proves that you've tried and it's not been working out for your business. In terms of eligibility, the kind of role that you offer a foreign worker has to be full-time. Full-time is defined by 30 hours a week. You have to meet the median wage criteria for the given role and the location that you'll be hiring at. And of course, your business has to prove that they will be able to support a foreign worker for the duration that they will be in the country as the primary employer of the candidate. So these are basic eligibility criteria for a labor market impact assessment. Now, there are 3 types of LMIs. There's the low wage, there's the high wage, and the dual intent. There is not a lot of difference between a low wage and a high wage LMI. With the low wage specifically, the employer has a few more responsibilities. A being assisting or identifying housing for the candidate. It's not your responsibility to provide housing, but it is your responsibility to kind of help them identify suitable housing close to the location of work. With the low wage LMI, there is a responsibility to pay for the one-way flight ticket for the candidate. And of course, insurance till the time they are covered by provincial insurance. With the high wage LMI, there is no responsibility for flight tickets or housing. With both, however, you do have to meet the median wage for the role. So the Canadian government has the website kind of has a wage and role list. So you can type in the role that you want to hire for, and then based on where your location is, it will give you exactly what the minimum wage and the median wage is, and you always have to meet the median wage. The dual intent LMI could be both either low wage or high wage. What it does is that it assists the candidate with 50 additional points towards their PR or their express entry. If we apply for a dual intent LMI for a particular candidate, the employer no longer has to pay $1,000 as a government fee to Service Canada. So if you're doing a low wage or a high wage LMI, the fees to Service Canada is $1,000 per LMI. However, if we're doing a dual intent, which is where we're assisting the candidate with their PR pathway, in that case, that $1,000 is waived off. So yeah, this kind of gives you a picture of the different types of LMIs. Again, depending on the type of business, depending on the kind of role that you want to hire, and the fitment of the candidate, we assess it on a case-by-case basis and see what's the best type of LMI to fit your business. So there's no blanket answer to which is the best one or which is most suitable to your business. It really is on a case-to-case basis, depending on the candidate, role, location, etc. Yeah, and that kind of covers everything. In terms of how do you get the LMI? Again, you register yourself on the job bank. It will take you about 20 minutes to get yourself registered. Once the registration is done, you are able to post the ad for the role that you want to hire. That ad needs to be live for 30 days on the job bank. At the end of 30 days of that ad being live, you are able to submit your online application for an LMI. During this time, of course, we put together all your documents. So like I mentioned, your business registration and financial documents. Now, with your financial documents, there are two options. One option is you provide the government directly your PD7A, your Schedule 100 and 125, showing no outgoings, and everything is in good financial standing. Alternatively, if you can get a letter from your CPA or your accountant, which states that your business was started on this date, was incorporated on this date, your address, registered address, and that the company is in good financial standing, that letter is enough as well. Like I mentioned earlier, applications take anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks. One LMI is for one role. So, for example, you can get an LMI for a cook, and you can have about 5 positions or up to 5 positions within that LMI, but it has to be 5 cooks. As soon as you want to do a cook and a food service supervisor, that's 2 LMIs, but you can do 5 cooks and 2 food service supervisors because each role has 1 LMI, and that LMI can hold up to 5 positions each. So yeah, that's in terms of the LMI and going forward. Just to close, and then I'll take any questions that you have. In the last 7 years that we've been in the business, we've only had positive experiences from all our employers. We work extensively in the hospitality sector. Some of the things we've noticed and some of the feedback that we've received is the quality of talent that is coming in. We have an office in Dubai, and very often Dubai kind of attracts the best hospitality students, best hospitality talent, cooks and chefs, because they are working at a different level of in terms of the service industry standards. So we are able to attract really good talent from there. We're able to attract really good talent from Japan. The reason we're able to attract this talent with really good experience is because these are countries where candidates do not get a pathway to permanent residency. These are countries where their families don't get access to English as an education language. So very automatically, they are looking for greener pastures, and Canada is able to provide that to them. And we are able to attract that kind of talent automatically. From an employer perspective, we are seeing lesser turnover, higher productivity, and of course, the capacity of the business expands when you have a more diverse workforce. Just to mention why there is less employee turnover is candidates who are hired through the temporary foreign worker program come in on a closed work permit. This work permit is for a period of 2 years. So for 2 years, this candidate can only work for your business and no other business. They are not essentially not able to kind of leave you to work for somebody else. So we see a lesser rate of no-shows. Not turning up for work is not a problem. And of course, it's an adopted country, so they obviously show up and the productivity is always much higher. So yeah, that's in terms of what we've seen and experienced over the last few years. I will open this session up for any questions. And if you have any doubts or if you want me to repeat anything, I'd be happy to do so. Oh yeah, actually, very quickly in terms of, I have a few FAQs. These are questions we get asked. Some of the questions we get asked is, should you get a candidate over and then you feel that the candidate is not a good fit, they're not performing, what is the employer's responsibility? So here to clarify, the employer's responsibility is no different from any other employee that you have. You will follow the same process of letting them go if it gets to that point, which is to give them due notice and give them a warning, maybe give them due notice and then um, ask them to leave. We usually, so what happens in that situation is that we usually assist the candidate with finding another employer, and then we're able to transfer their LMI to a different employer. So we do take that responsibility on behalf of the candidate. In worst case scenarios, the candidate loses status and therefore has to return back to their home country. But from an employer perspective, you have no other responsibilities or liabilities in terms of no fit or non-performance. Like I mentioned, the duration of the contract is 2 years. Very often, there are businesses that don't run throughout the year. So they're seasonal businesses. This is not negotiable. Candidates have to be given full-time work throughout the year for their 2-year contract period. Because they're foreign workers, they don't have any fallbacks within the country. So this is a basic protection criteria that is put in place. There are employers who offset not having full-time roles by giving them different work during the winter months. And that is something that we can adjust and do as well. Lack of housing in the community, again, as consultants, we try and do our best to find them accommodation. Very often we find them sharing accommodation if it's more than one person being hired. Usually they're able to kind of figure it out. But if it is a community that absolutely does not have any housing whatsoever, there's honestly very little we can do to kind of offset that at this point in time. But we do our best to kind of assist them as part of the settlement services that we provide. Yeah, that's it from me. Any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I have nothing at this time, but it was very informative. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your time, Susanna. Yeah, like I said, that's as Andy had said, it's very informative, and I don't have any questions at this time either.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Kim, you're on mute.
I muted myself, then I unmuted it. And then I hit a button and it brought up a bunch of things on my computer and then I muted it again. Anyways,
Okay.
thank you so much, Susanna.
Thank you.
And thank you guys all so much for coming. If you want to rewatch it or would like to pass it along, it'll be on our website as well as it'll be in the newsletter and on our YouTube channel. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.